Has your family ever lost a pet? Well, last Monday, our family lost our cat, Oliver. He's been a family cat as long as we've been married and together. And so he's been there the entire time. And I didn't know exactly what it was going to be like when he did pass. He was getting old. He was up to, I believe, 14 or 15 years old. And I knew it was coming. But obviously, you don't know when those things are coming. And you try to prepare for it and do what you need to. But the day that it happens, man, there's a lot of growth that I went through since Monday. And for me, digging the hole, marrying my cat, having my kids around me, crying, asking questions, not sure how to process the whole thing, was extremely difficult. I'm crying with them. And it's one of those moments where, as a father, I knew what I had to do. I knew what I needed to do. I knew how I needed to show up, but it was still difficult and it was still very real. And a lot of building up for the last 5-6 years, I feel like allowed this moment to be a lot better for me. Had this happened maybe 5 years ago, I'm not even sure how I would have handled it. But now I was able to just sit with my kids on Monday and just hold them while they cried and talk about the good memories of Oliver and being there. And my oldest daughter is still having a hard time processing everything. And still, I'm just there. And it felt very good and heartwarming to know that the example of the love I'm providing her in this moment is just one that's letting her be. I probably have told her 20 times already, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's important to let that go. And I'm going to be here as long as it takes. And just reminding her that. Because for her, as a 9-year-old girl, she's learning from me that men can be that emotional anchor to help get you through what's going on. A mom can be the same way. But for me as a father, I realized that that's where I was supposed to be. This is what I'm teaching her right now. This is how someone shows up in your life when you're sad. It's not anger. It's not frustration. It's not yelling. It's just being there. There's many times she's like, Dad, I need you. And all it is I'm just sitting next to her, holding her while she cries and just helping her process everything that's going on. And then trying to help her understand that what she's feeling isn't permanent, because I feel like that's often where she's at. She's also, I feel like, identifying with guilt. And that guilt is something difficult as well, that she didn't maybe spend as much time with Oliver as she wanted. And now that he's gone, it's hard to accept that and process it. But at the same time, it's still great to be there. And so this past week just solidified to me why this journey matters. So far, we've talked about a lot of the positives of being a dad and how you can find little moments to be there and create excitement, to create adventure, to create connection. But today was a sad one. And for me, this lesson is going to ride with me for a long, long time as my other two kids grow up and they're dealing with it differently. They have maybe a stoicism to it that they're still working through and they haven't accepted it because they haven't really realized the finality of death and that Oliver's no longer with us. But this is what fatherhood is. It's not one flavor. It's not this high of where everything is Instagram proof of awesomeness. Fatherhood is being there in all layers of life. In the pit when your daughter has her first boyfriend breakup. Being there when maybe she's moved in with someone and she has to move out. Whatever that may be, a dad shows up. A dad shows up. And that was a lesson I continued to have validated this week, is a dad shows up. And this is what our kids need from us. They need us to show up when they aren't sure of themselves, because we can be that person that helps steady the ship and gets them through where they need to go. And so if you've ever doubted yourself as a father, look in the times when they were hard and how did you show up? Did you show up in a way that validated them, let them be heard, seen, and loved, even if they were feeling sad? And so this is a lesson on the downside of fatherhood, but also the upside. Because to me, I know this lesson of love, being present, and just holding her, it's going to have a ripple on her heart and her mind for years to come. And I hope sometime in the future, I'll be able to look back and be like, how I showed up when Oliver passed away is how she showed up in a different moment, in a future world, in a future moment where she's struggling. And that I'm creating that place where she can go to feel safe. And I've said it before in the podcast, and I'll be saying it many times over the many episodes we're going to be doing, that being there for the small things will later in life prove that I'm there for the big things. And this week, it might seem small to lose a pet cat, but to her, it's the entire world right now. Her entire world was shaken with this information. And I'm there for the small things. And when it's even bigger, I'm going to be there just as much. And she's going to trust how I showed up because of how I showed up this week. And now that I brought the room down, I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.